All right. So, thanks for hopping on. And Annette, you asked me what Psalm Fitness stands for. So, when I was, you know, putting my company, my business together, I should say, I was racking my brain trying to come up with a good name because I'm like, well, life fitness is already taken, like Fit for Life, like all those things are already taken, right? Because I wanted to be something that you do for life. So I wanted life to be in there. But all those names were taken. And so I was like, life in Korean, okay, is 삶. So it's kind of
Oh,
like
okay.
psalm. So life in Korean is 삶. That's why I was like, okay, I'll just do psalm fitness. And after I did it, I was like, oh, people are going to think it's like misspelled and it's supposed to be slam fitness. But it is what it is now. But yeah, that's the meaning of Psalm Fitness. It means
Okay,
fitness for life, but in Korean. Yeah,
nice. I like that.
thank
I
you.
thought I thought it
I'm
was
excited.
maybe something like Calm
Yeah.
Fitness.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Oh,
similar to Calm in the sense that it's with an S though.
yeah, right. I
Yeah.
was trying to figure out if it was an acronym for something.
Yeah, I maybe I should create an acronym for it, but I haven't gotten there. Maybe
We just learned
maybe
a new
if you
Korean
think of
word.
something, you can
Yeah.
share it with me. All right, let me try to get my screen share up just 1 second. Were you guys able to do your training or mobility this week so far?
I did it
Yeah.
today. Never used a, yeah, me too.
Yay. Okay.
I'd never used a foam roller before. That was really cool.
Oh, did you have to get one?
No, Alex had one left over in the house that he didn't take with him when
Nice. And
he left.
how did you like or not like it?
I'll have to get used to it.
Yeah,
I
for
I didn't
sure.
like it.
Sorry, what did you say,
Yeah,
Mabel?
I don't like it.
You
I
don't like
used it
it?
for the first time today, and I was like, "Oh, this hurts. I don't like it." It
Yeah,
does kind of
yeah.
hurt at first.
It does. And then you get used to it and it's like a massage. It's called self-myofascial release. And basically you're breaking apart like the muscle in that area so you can actually basically you're not going in cold and you're able to kind of like lengthen those muscles better when you're going into the exercises. So it's a good like workout. I mean, foam rolling is good to do before you go into your workout, but also it's good after you work out sometimes too. Um, and also if you don't go for too long because like, kind of like you've if you've gotten like a massage before, you get super relaxed afterwards. So you want to get each body part for about like 30 seconds. And then maybe at nighttime, if you want to relax and you're, maybe a little bit sore or tight, go into foam rolling, but you can do it for longer and that'll help relax you and actually help you sleep better. So little fun fact there. All right, so let me get my screen share up. And foam rolling is actually like something I love doing now. Like at the beginning, I didn't, like I was like, this is kind of weird. It hurts, but
Yeah, it
uh,
hurt.
it's good. Okay, let me. All right. Do you see my screen?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have that. So today, I wanted to talk briefly about TDEE and BMR. Have you guys heard of either of those acronyms before?
I've heard of BMR.
BMR. Um, what do you guys know what BMR is?
It's like body. Oh, maybe it's not body. Something to do with measuring your body fat.
Um, Not quite. So BMR
Isn't it like
stands
your
for,
your your basic metabolic rate or something, resting rate?
yes, so it's called the
Okay.
basal metabolic rate. And the basal metabolic rate is basically like for most women, I would say it's around 12, 13, 1400 calories, basically. Maybe 12, 1300 calories, but it's going to vary depending on your genetics, depending on, how old you are, your age. And then also, it's also going to depend on how much muscle you have. Okay. So the more muscle you have, the higher your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. And BMR, a lot of people think, oh, if my BMR, like if I don't know if you guys have gotten like an in-body scan, like a body scan where you get your, it's like a report card of your body composition, right? Like your body fat percentage, how many pounds of muscle you have, things like that. Then a lot of times those BMR, Mabel, you might have gotten one actually at F45. Did you ever get
Yeah,
those body scans?
yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So on there, your BMR, it'll show, I don't know, like 1,200 or 1,300 something, right, for your calories. Um, and people think, oh, that's how many calories I need to eat, just like automatically. But what the BMR really is how many calories your body burns just to exist, just for the essential function of your organs. So if you were lying in bed in a coma, for instance, and you weren't moving, that's how many calories your body would need in order for it to run all the essential, organ functions, things like that. So BMR doesn't necessarily automatically mean how many calories you should be eating if you're trying to lose weight. That's just something that a lot of people misinterpret. So, what I want to talk about is our TDEE versus BMR. Okay. So, do you see the next screen, TDEE versus BMR with a graph?
Hmm.
Okay. So, TDEE is different from BMR, and TDEE basically stands for total daily energy expenditure. And that is how many calories you would be burning in a day, basically. And TDEE, if you can see here, this graph is how many, like, it's kind of a breakdown of how your body uses your energy. So do you see this big bot at the bottom of the graph? Do you see BMR?
Hmm.
And you notice how BMR is almost 60. So BMR is usually about 60 to 70% of the calories, the energy that your body spends in a day. So, and then look at the top, all the way at the top. Do you see how it says EAT, EAT? So that's an acronym. So that means exercise activity thermogenesis. And basically, that little percentage right there, maybe 10%, maybe even less, 5%, is how much energy you spend from planned exercise. So when you go to like a group fitness class, when you do your strength training, that's the energy from your whole day. That is the little part right there at the top. And then TEF right here is the thermic effect of food. And that just is about how much energy your body uses in order to, what is it, digest your food. And certain foods use up a little bit more energy to digest. And that one of those is protein. It has a higher thermic effect. And then NEAT right here, NEAT, that's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. And that just means unplanned exercise, the movement that you are doing every day, like, walking the dog or washing dishes, walking from your desk to, wherever. So those are just a little movements, like doing the laundry, vacuuming, all those are so it's like movement that's not planned exercise. Does that make sense so far, you guys?
Hmm.
Okay, so if this 100% is all the energy you spend in a day, where do you spend the most energy?
Your BMR?
Your BMR. Yeah. So your BMR already is like a huge part of your daily energy expenditure. Okay. So that's why it's so important for us to focus on increasing our BMR. And then what's next after that? The NEAT, right? And remember, this is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and that's the movement that you have throughout the day. And that's one of the reasons why, as I move on to the next slide, it's so important that we focus on trying to get that step count, right? Trying to move more throughout the day, because that's what's going to really help us get to that energy burn, especially when we are trying to lose weight and we want that calorie deficit. Okay. And then thermic effect of food helps a little bit. So obviously eating more, what is it? Protein is where it's going to help. It doesn't help you significant like a whole lot, but every little bit helps, right? So eating more protein for sure, eating more fiber, it's going to help with that. And then exercise is great, but see how you can't rely on just exercise to try to get you to your goals as far as weight loss comes, as long as we're talking about weight loss. All right, so then let's talk about why macros are important. So macros just means, when I say macros, it just means protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats or fats. All right, so those are your three important macros. So we're going to focus on macros. And the two macros that I want you to focus on is, well, for now, protein is the one macro that I really want you to focus on. And then fiber is something that I want you to focus on as well. Okay. So protein, well, actually, let's start with fiber. So fiber, you want to try to aim to get about 21 to 25 grams per day, which actually is kind of a lot, if you think about it, but that's why it's so important to try to eat more whole foods. And get more like leafy green veggies, for instance, right? Chia seeds, oatmeal, all those things have pretty good. And then there's two different kinds of fiber, but I won't go into that today. But like oatmeal, the fiber from oatmeal is a soluble fiber, which is different from like the fiber that you get from like celery, for instance, right? So those are two different fibers because the celery has more insoluble fiber. It's more just like that mass from greens, leafy greens usually. And that's all going to help you with, like fiber is going to help, stabilize blood sugar levels. It helps with digestion. It's going to actually help with your pelvic health as well because you're not going to strain as much when you're going to the bathroom because that fiber is going to help, clear things out of your bowels. And then also like fiber is going to help you stay full for longer, obviously. It's going to slow down digestion. So it's going to help to lead to more stable blood sugar levels because it's going to take longer for your body to digest. And then also protein does a similar thing as well, because when you eat protein with carbs, for instance, right, it helps slows down the blood sugar, the sugar that gets absorbed into the bloodstream, because it takes longer for your food to digest. So it doesn't create like a huge spike. Um, and then also protein, it also helps you stay full for longer because again, takes longer for it to digest. And then protein is also important because we're trying to build that muscle to increase that BMR, right? So we want to have more muscle. And so having enough protein is basically protein, the amino acids in the protein are the building blocks for your muscle. So it's going to help you build that muscle, help boost your metabolism. Any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay. And I just want to go over like why we're doing these things, like why we're trying to eat more protein, why strength training is important. That's just the next slide. And strength training, I think, like it's used to be cardio used to be pushed a lot more, right? With women who were trying to lose weight. Cardio used to be pushed a lot more. And cardio is great, but it is more of a breaking down process versus strength training is more of a building up process. So it's good to have both, but strength training is something that you really need to have when you're trying to lose weight, when you're trying to get stronger, when you're trying to boost your metabolism, and especially as we get older and we want to make sure we have combat the sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle mass, and also the osteoporosis with the bone density as well. And also muscle is like kind of what gives you that toned look. It gives you that shape that you want, that a lot of women are looking for when it comes to, like looking toned. It gives you that shape. And then And then we talked about how after the BMR was the most energy expenditure on that chart, the next was the NEAT, right? The non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the movement that you do throughout the day. And that just means that's why we're trying to get you to move more. So we're aiming for about 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. It's going to vary for each person depending on where you're starting off, what your, lifestyle looks like, things like that. But also it's going to be important for you to, get some movement. That's why I also included the mobility into your warm-ups. And then there's also a full mobility day video that I added as well. That's going to be good for you as well. And that's just going to help you with, flexibility, mobility as we age, because like you notice that you're not able to reach your toes as easily as maybe you used to be when you were younger, right? And then also recovery is going to be super important. And that's why this week one of our focuses was on trying to get good sleep. And so strength training, exercise, all those things are going to help you when it comes to sleep as well and recovery. And when you're strength training and you're work, especially like pushing hard, it's really important. Like when you're actually doing the strength training, your body's not building muscle. It's when you're recovering, sleeping is when you're doing the building. Okay, so like some people have asked me, like, well, it's really hard for me to get all my protein in. So on the days I strength train, I'll try to hit my 100 grams of protein or whatever your goal is. And then maybe like on the days I'm not strength training, can I just eat less protein? And my answer is always actually no. You need to make sure you're getting enough protein when you're recovering on like your rest days for sure, because that's when your body's doing all the recovering and repairing and building as well. So that's going to be important. And then also like when you're not, I'm sure you've felt this like firsthand, but when you're not sleeping well, when you haven't had a good night's sleep, then it's going to, you're obviously your energy level is going to drop because you're just not going to have the energy the next day if you are trying to work out or, go for a walk, whatever it is. But also, like, it's going to make you hungrier because your body releases this hormone called ghrelin and leptin. And leptin is like a hormone that your body releases and saying, hey, I'm full. And that's why, it's like a signal from your body saying, okay, you don't need to eat anymore because you're getting full. Ghrelin is the opposite. Ghrelin is the I'm hungry hormone, and your body releases it when it needs food or when it thinks it needs food. And it'll release more of it, the ghrelin, actually, the more weight you lose because your body's like wants to stay at homeostasis, right? So your body's like, hey, we need more food because it likes to stay where they are. They don't like, your body doesn't like to lose weight because it thinks it's going to be starving. Okay. And then when you're not getting enough sleep, it's actually your body is going to release more ghrelin. And that's why you might end up, like when you're super tired, you might end up having more cravings. And so just another reason to make sure you are resting, and getting enough sleep. And the aim is for about 7 to 9 hours a night. I know that's really hard. Like for me, it's really hard, with work, kids, all that stuff. Like I just have a hard time trying to get even 7 hours. I usually get like 6.5 on a good day. But just trying to get as much sleep is going to be really important and making sure you have a good place where you can actually sleep and having the healthy habits before, healthy, like, like not reducing screen time before bed and having, if you need like noise canceling, earbuds or something to help you. And then also stress is going to be also something you want to make sure you have a good handle on as well. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Was there any questions so far about the things that we talked about?
It all makes sense.
All makes sense. Anything new that you learned that you didn't know about?
I've heard of ghrelin and leptin, but I didn't know how they worked before.
Yeah, it's really interesting actually how our body responds to all these things. Yeah, any other questions or anything with the program as you've been going through the lessons or the exercises, the workouts?
I think you may have mentioned this already,
Uh-huh.
but um, there's the strength A and B, and then
Hmm.
the different levels.
Yes.
So this week is just strength. We're just doing strength A, or are we supposed to also do strength B?
So you're supposed to do A and B, so
A and B.
alternating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And if there's a
if
C,
you're
then we also do C.
so at the beginning, there was a quiz, right? A training level quiz. So I don't know if you ended up taking the quiz, but I would think you could do a level two because you've been doing F45.
Maybe did I miss the quiz?
It was
Okay,
under,
I'll
I
look
think
for
it
the
was under the
quiz.
getting started video lesson. There was a training level quiz. But that's okay if you didn't take it. It was just another like tool for you to figure out what training level you had to for you to choose. But you probably can do level two.
Okay.
And
The main
basically
difference
what
was
you
it
would
2 days a
do,
week or 3 days a week, wasn't it?
sorry.
Was the main difference with one was 2 days a week and one was 3 days a week?
Um, there that is one difference, but also the exercises are different. Like
Oh, okay.
they're modified. Like it might be
Okay.
squats, but it might be like body weight squats versus goblet squats for
Oh,
level two. Okay.
yeah.
So, Annette, did you figure out which level you were?
I was doing two, yeah.
Okay. All right. So level one is for like very beginners who've never really done strength training before. And that's why I only gave them two workouts to rotate between. But basically, if you're since you're both doing level two, you would be doing A, B, and C during that 1 week. So if your strength training days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every Mondays for 4 weeks, you'd be doing A every Monday or Wednesdays for, for 4 weeks, you'd be doing exercise B, and then every Friday, you'd be doing exercise C for 4 weeks.
Oh, got it.
And
Okay.
then when you look at the program, you're going to see that it's going to progress. So it's going to give you kind of like if you did goblet squats, for instance, I think on week one, maybe goblet squats, you were doing 8 to 10 reps. Maybe the week two, it might say 10 reps or 10 to 12 reps, right? And then week three, it might be like 12 reps. And then week four is always going to be a deload week. So I don't know if you guys read the or watch the video about it. But basically, it's week one is kind of like your base. You're kind of figuring out your form and you're getting kind of your base. Okay. Week two is when you're kind of ramping up, pushing yourself. And then week three is when you're kind of trying to like go full out, max out a little bit. Okay. But with good form. And then week four is when you do a deload and allow your body to kind of like rest a little bit, but you're still moving, you're still doing the movements, but you're not pushing to the max. So that's kind of the format of the training program. So it's a 4 week block, but week one is kind of like, getting used to it. Week two, ramp up. Week three, push. And then week four, deload. And then the next block starts where we start again. And that next block starts obviously in 4 weeks, but you'd be doing these same workouts for 4 weeks. Is that clear?
Okay.
Any
Yeah.
confusion around that? Got it?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Any other questions? You guys are
I think
good?
so.
Okay. So I'll be uploading the next week's video probably on this weekend. Okay, so for week two, there'll be a new lesson for week two. I already met with both of you to work on your goals, so make sure you continue to work on those habits that we set, right? And then after week two, we'll assess and see how if you were able to stick to those for like 80% of the time. And then if you were, then we would up that challenge a little bit, is when you would maybe increase your step count, increase your protein intake, not all at once, but maybe we would, add a little bit more of a challenge there. All right.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Yeah,
you guys are
perfect.
doing great. Stay consistent. That's what it really comes down to, is making sure you're consistent and you're showing up because like doing something for like a week or two, it feels like you've done a lot, right? You're like, oh, I've like done my, stuck to my calorie count for 2 days, and then you're like, oh, I have to keep going. And then you don't necessarily see. So it's like kind of like like the delayed gratification, right? You keep working towards it and you're not going to really see the results until a little bit later. But you have to trust the process and you have to keep showing up and keep putting in the work because if you put in the work for 2 or 3 days or a week and then you're like, oh, I'm just going to take a break over the weekend. Oh, and the weekend is also one of those things where, especially if you want to hit your goal, right? Okay. If you're okay with it taking longer, then, you know, maybe splurge on the weekend. But if you want to get to your goals within the time frame that we have set, which is about 12 weeks, then you need to make sure you're good on the weekends too. So you can't just be like free for all on the weekends. Because if you were in a calorie deficit for every day for 5 days, but then on the weekend I don't know, eat a whole lot more, you don't move a lot, then it's going to set you back, right? Because we want to try to get a calorie deficit of about, if you're trying to lose about 1 pound a week, for instance, okay, then you have to have a calorie deficit that adds up to about 3,500 calories, about, okay? And that's how we get there with eating a little bit less and moving more, all right? We don't want to slash calories too much and then not move, right? So we want to do a little bit of both. And then we always go back and we check, be like, hey, like after maybe like a couple of weeks or a few weeks, like, am I making progress? And if you feel like you're not making progress and you're like kind of staying the same and you don't feel any different with the way your clothes fit or how you see yourself in the mirror, the scale doesn't always tell the true story. But basically, if you feel like it's, not really, you're not seeing much change, then that's when you need to look at what you're doing and make some tweaks. Are you really eating in a calorie deficit? Are you really, are you really moving as much as you should be, right? Are you really training with the intensity that you need to be training? So those are going to be something that you need to make sure that you are looking at. And yeah, just really lock in and focus for those 12 weeks because when you reach your goal in 12 weeks, you're going to be like so happy, right? But also like I've talked about this before. You don't want to be in that cycle of like, I'm going to be good for a week, but then you drop off. And then I'm going to be good for another week, and then you drop off and you never make progress. Right. Okay. All right. That's my spiel for today. Thanks so much for hopping on, and then message me, let me know if you have any questions, and then keep going. You guys are doing great. Just keep showing up. Okay.
Hey, Laura, I have
Thank
a
you for
question.
everything.
Yeah, of course.
Um, I I looked at my F45 reports.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got three of them,
Hmm.
and my BMR, I found BMR, and it went up slightly, like with each report.
Hmm.
So now the latest one I have is 1200. So
Hmm.
is that good that it's going up?
It's good. You want it
Oh,
to go
okay.
up because
Okay.
remember, the more muscle you end up having, the more calories your body burns at rest, the BMR,
At
remember
rest.
that graph?
Yes.
So the more the BMR is able to go up by building more muscle, right? And
Yeah.
eating the right foods with protein intake because you need the
Okay.
protein to build the
Yeah.
muscle. That's why it's really important that you're getting in that protein. Okay.
Okay. Okay,
So
good.
it's good.
Okay.
That number going up is what we want to see. The number
Okay.
going
Okay, good.
down for BMR. So usually we associate numbers going up as bad, but BMR is a good number to go up.
Okay. Okay, got
Okay.
it. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Yeah. Good job. Okay.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
We'll see you guys later.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye again.
Bye. Good to see you.